The last time the outside of the house was filmed, it really was like somebody halfway to getting dressed, not looking its best. There was blue membrane on the side, it was still a building site out here, really dusty. Cor-Ten wasn't finished, the whole thing was still very much a work in progress. Since then, we've capped the top of the walls, we've finished the cladding, which is this thermally modified ash. We've built an external cupboard for gardening bits and pieces and boots and what have you. Some new steps down. Concrete path has gone in. The ground has been landscaped and planted. And then one of the last things we've done is plant the beds around the base of the building, which have really helped it. It's quite a hard design. I mean, I'm very aware of that. It's quite a sort of one level of kind of brutal design. It relies on the materials to soften it, and then it relies on planting. You can see the planting beginning at the bottom. What you're not seeing is the wildflower meadow on the roof. That we missed last October, November for various reasons, and so we're going to plant it this October, so it'll start coming up next summer, and it will really add another layer, I think, to softening the building. But I'm really pleased with the way the exterior looks. I mean, it does sort of start to express as these series of piers, which I'm pretty pleased about. I think it's just about mellowing now, bedding down. It has taken a lot of time to finish the outside because I've been doing it on weekends. In doing it slowly, we've sort of evolved some thoughts and got the detailing, I think, really crisp. Like there's a beautiful layer of steel underneath the cladding to stop the splash at the base. You know, just sort of really getting a chance to work in and embellish the architecture with some fine detailing as we get to it. So that's been enormously satisfying, and I can't explain how satisfying putting the last piece of cladding up was. The cladding is actually an English hardwood. It's ash. Ash is not a particularly long-lasting hardwood. You wouldn't traditionally use it as a cladding. But what they've developed is a way of thermally modifying the ash. It's called brimstone, and they cook the ash at a very high temperature for, I think it's like a day or two, and it bakes all of the sugars out of the wood so that mold and fungi and insects are not interested in the wood because there's no sugar in it. That's what they're going after, that's what they're feeding on is the sugars. They've gone, so then it becomes an incredibly stable, long-lasting timber. It's a really good product. It has a look of a tropical hardwood, but no monkeys were harmed in the production of this wood. I think it's really important. We don't use any tropical hardwood. I like monkeys and biodiversity far too much for that. This is a product, and at the moment we're having a huge amount of ash death because of a new disease. So there will be a lot of ash available. We need to be pushing for all of those trees that are dying to be made into cladding, partly because it stops cladding from other parts of the world, partly because if we use it in cladding, it doesn't get burnt and it doesn't go back into the atmosphere as carbon. It's attached on a vertical batten and then a counter batten with a very fine stainless steel pin and then a hidden joint and another pin in that tongue. The way that the vertical cladding, the vertical batten is screwed onto the breather board over the membrane, and in doing it, it reseals that breather membrane. That membrane is our wind tightness membrane, not our air tightness membrane. So it's not the end of the world if there's a hole, but it gets pulled back. The base of the wall, because you never want cladding to come down to ground level, you want to keep it about 150 mil off the ground so you don't get splashback, so the wood's not constantly getting wet. We've achieved that by using steel, 6 mil mild steel sheet that we're running along the base. Now that's just going to rust like the Cor-Ten. It's not Cor-Ten, so it will have a slightly different rust characteristic, but at 6 mil wide, I will be long gone before that goes through, as might well my children be. We then had a piece of Cor-Ten folded for the roof of the cupboard and then brought it down, so that acts as a little gutter to bring rain down onto the floor, and it also sort of finishes the vertical or the visual line of the Cor-Ten cladding down and sort of touches the ground, which I think it's sort of on both ends of the building, it sort of lightly touches onto the ground. Conceptually, it's sort of like a loop, if you like. But it's been it's been a journey doing the cladding, but one that I really enjoyed. It's so satisfying. that sort of finishing touch that when you put the last board on and you step back from an elevation, you really feel like you've achieved something.